Hi folks, I'm Father Joe Grimaldi. You can call me Joe, and I'd like to welcome you to my podcast. But now, here's our host and friend, Ken Calvert.
Hi everybody, and welcome once again to the Father Joe Grimaldi podcast. I'm Ken Calvert alongside my dear friend, the hardest working priest in show business today. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, give a round of applause, please, to Father Joe Grimaldi. The Father Joe podcast is proudly supported by our dear friends at Hoot McInerney Star Lincoln, 12 Mile Road, east of Telegraph, in Southfield. The Lincoln Wish List sales event is happening right now. Choose your Lincoln, from the power of the Navigator to the elegance of the Continental. Star Lincoln has the vehicle for your lifestyle. Stop on by, say hi, have a cup of coffee. Hoot McInerney Star Lincoln. Check out the Aviator, the Corsair, Nautilus, and of course, the Lincoln MKZ. Star Lincoln, 12 Mile and Telegraph in Southfield, home of the Star treatment. The Lincoln Wish List sales event is happening now. These savings will not last and are available for a very limited time. So get to Hoot McInerney Star Lincoln, shop online anytime at starlincoln.com. Do us a favor, tell them you heard about Star Lincoln on the Father Joe podcast. Hoot McInerney Star Lincoln, 12 Mile Road, just east of Telegraph, or visit starlincoln.com. Well, okay, here we go. It's week 3 of Advent. And this is where I just get out of the way and let the pro take over.
Oh, I don't know about that, but...
Right. But we're getting closer. We're anticipating the coming of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, Christmas Day. There are a lot of references to the shepherds throughout several of the Gospels that you hear. Shepherd and flock, and there's a strong attachment to that, yes?
Yeah,
okay,
definitely.
Throughout the entire calendar year with the Catholic Church.
Of course. Well, Jesus lived at a time when that was the people's work, their life. They were surrounded by sheep. As a matter of fact, one of the things that's interesting to me, that if you travel through the Middle East even today, as many people have done so already, you will see shepherds with their flock all around us. So it's interesting that even today, here we are almost in 2020, but thing is that is still one of the main, I hate to use the word industry, but one of the main works that the people of the Middle East, continue to do. And of course, at Jesus' time, it was prevalent. I mean, it really was. So he uses parables, and he uses parables so that people could easily understand the points that he's trying to make. And of course, what better way to do it than to use something that they're all familiar with? Because the sheep generally, usually poor sheep, they have a bad reputation as being dumb. They follow and so on and so forth. But then...
And we also count them when we can't sleep, right?
Exactly. Because they're in abundance, but ain't they? Yeah. But in any case, the thing is this, that the sheep are not so dumb. Actually, they recognize the voice of their master. They recognize the voice of other sheep, if you want, particularly, not just that it's another sheep, but it is someone that is a sheep that is very particular to the one who's listening. So these are not such dumb animals. They have an ability to listen, to follow if you want, and to pay attention to whoever the master is. And so it's so easy to identify sheep with the people.
Right.
So here we are the people of God. God is the shepherd. Jesus is the shepherd. Mm-hmm. So, and then not all, but so many of the main characters, if you start with Moses and David and so on, these people were shepherds. And so it's easy to identify.
And earlier this week, there was actually a gospel that was talking about the shepherd with, I believe it was 99 sheep, and one went astray, and he went looking for the one as opposed to tending to the other 99. Let's just say, rounding it off, and I'm paraphrasing the gospel.
No, you're doing your job of it. The idea that God cares enough for each one of us. Who was that famous Jesuit poet? Manly Hopkins. In any case, he wrote God as this person who hounds the people he loves and wants them to open up and to convert, and he never stops. God cares for each one of us individually. That's what that gospel is trying to tell us. It's important to him that even the one that goes astray be brought back. And, of course, the only way that's going to happen is that other one has to be willing to be brought back. So,
while the rest of the flock is going, hey, what about us?
Yeah.
If we're all over here and you're worried about one.
That's right. He mentions who wouldn't go after the lost sheep, even though there were 99 others there. So a good shepherd, only a good shepherd, one who was not paid, not a mercenary one, but a shepherd that loves his sheep, would pay attention to the one that has gone astray.
With Advent Week 3, I think the reference to the wreath would be the shepherd's candle, therefore. And I believe it also represents what we'll call joy, which is a great thing. And you're going to say it for me because I'll mess it up.
Gaudete Sunday.
Gaudete Sunday.
But I want to say something. You're right in what you're saying, but most people don't know the shepherd's candle. It's a term that's not used today by a lot of people, and so they don't make reference to that. What they do know is this, though, I think. When you have an Advent wreath, the shepherd's candle, or the pink, all the other candles are violet, but then you have this one candle that tells us loud and clear, the Lord is near. So let us rejoice. That's what we're celebrating Sunday. And, of course, it used to be called Gaudete Sunday. And, again, I'm showing my age, if you want, because they don't even use that term anymore. But if you listen to the readings, you will see that there's a tone of heightened anticipation that the Lord is near. And so the colors of the vestments very often are different. They wear the rose-colored vestments. And again, that's falling out of style, if you want.
You were saying, we must just have a light moment here, because
I
know that you are not a fan of the rose garment. But you have an option to stick with the purple if you'd like, correct?
Yeah, yes, I do. And, of course, they've even tried to identify, because I mentioned earlier that Advent is not a penitential season.
Correct.
It's a season of anticipation. However, even the vestments are different. Now, if you look at purple, there's different hues, H-U-E-S, of purple. And so that there's a different color purple for Advent than there is for Lent. And so it's more bluish. As a matter of fact, in some cases, they make it downright blue, that they're wearing, so that to distinguish that. But basically, what we're celebrating, the Lord is near, and we want to ready ourselves to receive the Lord into our hearts. And so one of the things we do is that we try to clear whatever it is within our hearts that prevents the Lord from truly coming in. And if we could work on getting rid of that, then we will be very open to the Lord when he does come.
So that's our specific mission on weekend number 3.
And the readings speak about comforting words. If you look at all 3 readings today, you will see the comforting words. Isaiah even says, courage, don't be afraid. Now, we may take that and don't make a big deal out of it, but in the reading from St. James, we hear the words, be patient, do not lose heart. And in the Gospel, Jesus tells John the Baptist, happy the person who does not lose faith. So all 3 readings have a message. It's a message that's one is related to the other. There's no question. They bring comfort, if you want. Those same words are addressed to you and me because, as I said, we need to take them in because at times we find ourselves in very dark situations. We might be going along nicely in our lives, and then all of a sudden the storm hits, unemployment is in the family, serious illness, a suicide. These things are things that shatter our faith in what's supposed to happen, our faith in God. And it's times like these that we have to remember the words Isaiah speaks to us today in that first reading. Courage, do not be afraid. We have to understand John the Baptist, he was a holy man, a God-fearing man, and yet he ended up in a dungeon, facing death. Often, you and I, we do our best, but things still go wrong. And we feel that God has let us down. There's no question. We doubt his love for us. How could he possibly do this? And maybe we even doubt his existence. At times like these, we hear Jesus' words, "Blessed is the person who does not lose faith in me." You know, our lives get more stressful every day. Christmas brings a lot more work and more stress, more than we want. And some people can feel overwhelmed. They can feel depressed even. They can't get things done, and they wonder, well, whether they'll be able to cope with all of this. Well, this is when we have to listen to those words, courage, do not be afraid. Death is probably the greatest test of our faith. We live our lives in the shadow of death, there's no question. Matter of fact, I was talking to someone recently where he is very depressed with the idea of facing mortality. He's having a hard time. And the reason is because he's had some serious illness, strokes and heart problems and so on. And so he faces death. He can't sleep at night because of that. His day is filled with anxiety, with all sorts of unreasonable fears, you know. And so it's this shadow of death that we really live in. And all of us, especially those who have recently lost a loved one, hopefully listen to the words of Jesus when he tells us, "Blessed is the person who does not lose faith in me." You know, at times we feel bewildered, we feel discouraged, the things that are happening in the world. Oh, we live in a mess. We've heard it before that this country is divided. Well, now we feel this country is divided.
We know this country is divided.
And it hurts, okay? And we see in other parts of the world where wars do not end. And then we start thinking, will we ever feel safe again with all of the stuff that's going on? And then we see all the people that are hungry. When will everybody eat again? When will the killings that occur regularly in our city even, when will the killings stop? Maybe we start to feel powerless. Where is God? Why doesn't he intervene? These are the thoughts that come to my mind. And it's then that we have to listen to the words of Jesus when he says, "Blessed is the person who does not lose faith in me." You know, some parents have seen their children give up the practice of their faith, despite the encouragement and the good example that they've been given throughout their lives. And for them, it's great pain and sadness. Hopefully, these words that we hear, be patient and do not lose heart. Alcoholism and drugs are terrible afflictions. They cause misery in the sufferer and to those who live with them as well. The alcoholic and the addict, well, they have to look for help. And it takes courage to admit that someone is weak, to admit that they need help. They have to ask for help. And again, Isaiah says, courage, do not be afraid. And you and I, all of us, each one of us, knows the kind of situations that cause us to be fearful and doubtful. We can't stop ourselves from feeling afraid, but we cannot allow our fears to cripple us. You know what? Courage is not never feeling afraid. It's feeling afraid and going on in spite of it.
Mm.
I this time of the year I find difficult.
Well said.
Yeah, but I do find it difficult when I see people that suffer depression. Huh?
Sure.
And with all this beautiful, joyous music going on, and you have all these beautiful, the candles, the melodies, all of these, the Christmas trees, the lights, all of this.
Yeah.
And they just feel helpless. And so they become more and more depressed. I want to pray with them, and I do. I pray for them regularly so that they will find their consolation in the Lord.
Yeah.
They can't find a consolation in this life sometimes. And I think it's a horrible thing. I think what I've been trying to say throughout today is that faith can be fragile. And we shouldn't be surprised when doubts come within us. God understands our doubts, in a world like ours especially. But blessed are we if we do not lose faith in Jesus. And we will be even more blessed if we can put our faith into action with acts of love, compassion, mercy, just the way Jesus did in his lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And, if we could take nothing else away from this season of Christmas is treating one another with respect and love. At Christmas time, it's so easy to see people smiling, greeting each other.
Hello.
Yes. Oh, it's a good feeling.
Hi, Bob. How are you, Mary? Oh, Merry Christmas to you, George. Absolutely. Oh, it's going to be a great Christmas, it is.
What about the middle of February? Can we do that? Can we do it in the middle of February?
Oh, hi, Bob.
Yeah.
Hey, I was going to park there, You may want to take that shopping cart back.
Are we supposed to serve you?
How come they got a table? It's the little things that can add up to a lot.
Yeah, if we could just take that whole spirit with us throughout the rest of the year.
And
it sounds trite, but it's true.
You know what? I'll tell you, you always think about the cowardly lion. What did he want? Courage. Put him up. Put him up. I'll fight you with one paw behind my back. I'll fight you with both paws behind my back. Ho, ho, ho. He wanted courage.
You even look like, what's his name?
Bert Lahr.
Bert Lahr.
Bert Lahr. A lot of people always said that when I did that impersonation, I started to look more and more like Bert Lahr.
You do it beautifully, beautifully.
Yeah. But so that's the message. Take on the battle. Be strong.
Exactly.
Be courageous.
Be courageous.
And have faith.
Oh, yeah. We can't lose faith in Jesus.
Thank you once again, as always. You've done a wonderful job. And I want you to put them up. Put them up. Yeah. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Father Joe podcast. I'm Ken Calvert.
I wish you the same, and I look forward to it myself. This is Father Joe Grimaldi, and I look forward to seeing you next time on the Father Joe podcast.
If you'd like, you can email us. It's frjoepodcast@gmail.com. That's frjoepodcast@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook. Simply search Father Joe Grimaldi. And thanks for listening, everyone.